Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna start the December 17th meeting. We'll have the invocation by Mr. Hart, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance by myself. Please stand for the roll call.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you through the abundant grace and mercy that you've shown towards us to allow us to come together to conduct the city's business. And Father, we pray we help us to come in with the spirit of unity, even though we may disagree. Let us not disagree or disengage from one another, but treat each other as brothers and sisters. Once again, we always say a special prayer of our first responders. Watch over them on every call and comfort their families, knowing as their loved ones are watching over us, you will be watching over them. We're so careful to give you the praise, the honor, and the glory you do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Kennedy is absent. Commissioner Wilson?
Here?
Mayor Johnson?
here.
Commissioner Firstner?
Here.
Commissioner Oliver?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, we have no presentations or proclamations. Staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. Normally I don't have anything, but tonight I have an item that I would like to bring to all of your attention. This morning, Commissioner Oliver contacted me after he began getting calls from residents who had children in our schools that received an email letter from Orange County Public Schools. And then I spoke to the mayor and Commissioner Wilson. And I want to just first start off by thanking the commission for remaining committed to the safety of students in Ocoee schools for the entirety that we've been providing school resource officers, going back decades now. And I'm trying to be judicious about what I say here, but I'm so angry about the fact that the city of Ocoee, Winter Garden, Winter Park, Oakland, and Windermere have been placed in the crosshairs of a pretty vicious narrative control campaign by the Orange County School Board with regard to the fact that these jurisdictions decided to enter into a one-year contract in a year where market-wide salaries went up by 20% across Central Florida for law enforcement, and we were forced to absorb that in a year that Amendment 5 passed, which, mind you, Orange County Public Schools is exempt from the impacts of that change. And they had a workshop a couple weeks ago that was preceded by a Channel 9 story where they prominently displayed the names of these jurisdictions and then proceeded to talk about, due to this cost and these cities' unwillingness to work with us, we're going to be forced to look at a guardian program. So I want to set a few records straight tonight for the commission, and I've handed out for your use. Chief Ogburn has provided a copy of a media response to this letter that went out that has been collectively prepared by the chiefs of these 5 jurisdictions. But I want to set a few records straight for the public in this format because this is an issue that is very important to us. First and foremost, the city of Ocoee, and I believe I'm speaking for these other jurisdictions, in no way, shape, or form is advocating not having a trained, sworn law enforcement officer in these schools to protect students, okay? It is the duty of Orange County Public Schools, however, to ensure the safety of their students. And the cost that we receive, or the reimbursement we receive from Orange County Public Schools that goes towards reimbursement of costs for school resource officers does not even come to half of our costs. That's why I thanked you, because you've been committed to eating this at the expense of citizens who pay taxes here in the face of this. And We just simply wanted to negotiate a better deal for us that could be ramped up over a period of time. And we have a negotiation meeting set in January. The chiefs will all be there. We asked you, which you did, you approved a contract for 1 year to allow us time to try to work with them. Instead, we've now been subject to this information campaign designed to pull on the heartstrings of our citizens and make the commissions of these respective jurisdictions the bad guy. And when in fact, it is not any of the commissions involved. And I want to point out a couple of things. Did a little bit of digging, talked to a few people. They received almost they being OCPS, received almost $21 million in appropriation money this year for safety. And bullet number 1 on the safety report, and let me pull this out so I can be entirely accurate here. Florida Department of Education, Bureau of School Business Services, Office of Funding and Financial Reporting, Safe Schools Appropriation Expenditures Report, page 1, bullet 1, and this is for appropriation expenditures. It provides detailed information about safe schools expenditures. The first bullet is school resource officers, school campus police officers, safety and security guards, and other school law enforcement officers. So we did a little bit of digging, and in Orange County's breakdown of the revenue sources provided for school resource officers, and this is part of the same report, only 82% of their budget allocated came from this appropriation money. And they reported that 6% came from city police departments and 12% from county sheriff's office. Okay? Something doesn't add up there. But when you're talking about trying to make up what really amounts to a very small amount of money they have to come up with just to get us to where we're getting 50% reimbursed, maybe over a 3-year period get to 55%. Our total costs are between 1.4 and 1.5 million for our officers, and we're only getting about $648,000 from the school board. So you guys are investing in the safety of our students when it is in fact their responsibility. Most people aren't aware that Orange County Public Schools has a police department, and they have 56 budgeted positions in this fiscal year budget, and only 5 of them are for police officers. The rest of them for brass. Now I can tell you right now, given the fact that none of them are in schools, and most of them are playing paper pushing, I don't really know what they do. So let me just be entirely accurate. I don't know what all those people do. But they have a police department. They're the agency responsible for the safety of their kids. We're footing more than half of the cost right now, yet we're being crucified in the media. And when we're talking about a couple $1 million in a multi-billion-dollar budget like OCPS, which mind you just got an approved 1-cent sales tax initiative for teacher salaries, well, we've got to keep the teachers safe also. But you could cut a few positions or freeze a few positions, and you've got that deficit made up very quickly, notwithstanding the offset from anticipated revenues from the 1-cent sales tax initiative, notwithstanding the fact that they were immune to Amendment 5, when we in fact have to figure out how to continue to budget more frugally with the anticipated reduction in our revenue due to the passing of Amendment 5. We don't even know what that impact's going to be yet. All in a year that police salaries went up 20% across Central Florida. So I wanted to get on my soapbox for a minute and let you know that the chief dispatched, and you have a copy before you, a media response that will be sent out on behalf of these jurisdictions. And I am happy to work with you in responding to any citizen inquiries, but I think it would be very wise to direct all citizens to contact Orange County Public Schools about this and ask a few of these questions. Why do you have a police department and you're not even footing half the cost? And, you know, they trotted out the Guardian program. There's no comparison in the quality of service you're gonna get with cops. That was a tactic designed to pick on these little cities. And I'm sorry for injecting a little bit of emotion into this at this time, but we're talking about the safety of students, and that's one of the cornerstone responsibilities that they have. Now, I asked Vince just very quickly to come up and kind of walk you through some of our costs, so you would have that on the record.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, citizens. City Manager Shadrick, thank you for that. There's nothing much I would like to add other than the cost, like what he said, but what I do want to reiterate is that at no point in time have we ever mentioned, have we even discussed of taking our officers out of the schools. As a matter of fact, at the beginning of this school year, we were without a contract for 3 months, and we didn't pull anybody back. We stayed in the schools, and that's our hope, is to stay in there and continue to foster the relationship that we have with OCPS. We're not here to separate and divide. We just want some compensation for our duties. But in reality, just this week, I had an officer, which happens to be a school resource officer, to retire. So with that, it kind of segues into where we're at tonight. The salary to hire a new officer is going to be $64,500 that we have to come up with. We have to buy their uniforms, small equipment, which is a taser, aspeton, handcuffs, pepper spray, etc. That's just shy of $8,000. Computers and radios, that's $11,212. A vehicle, which is $69,000 today, and you know they go up all the time, and that does not include the equipment that we have to put on in them. Then we also have to hire somebody to put them in the academy. The academy is $4,000. Uniforms for the academy is $700. The testing fees that we have to pay is $135. That's $162,208.15 that we have to pay to hire an officer. And that officer is no good to us for a whole year because all of that hiring and schooling, it takes a year. So with that, I have to take somebody out of the community to fill that position, and that's unfair to our citizens. We have 9 officers assigned to the different schools within Ocoee, and they reimburse us at $72,000 per officer per year, which equates to $648,000. We have 1 sergeant assigned to the schools within Ocoee, and we are reimbursed at the rate of $72,000 for him. As I said earlier, the current contract wasn't completed until November last month. And Orange County has offered to pay $72,000 for school year 24-25, and we will begin negotiations in 2025 for 2025-2026. And that's basically it. Other than we currently have 12 officer vacancies, so you can see how pulling 1 officer from the streets to go into schools mandated is going to put a burden on us. But we will make do. But that's all I have to say.
So just to recap, a couple things. We have a negotiation scheduled for January. We'll be sending this response out that you have a draft of, and we're more than willing and able to help you respond to citizen inquiries. This letter that went out, I forwarded to you earlier today in the email I sent you. They went straight out and put the link in the letter to contact the commissions of these jurisdictions, including yourselves. And I think one wise decision could be to reach back out to any citizens saying, you need to be going to the school board meetings and asking them, show us the numbers, show us why you took $21 million in this school safety appropriation this year and you're only spending a percentage of it on school resource officers. You know, we have questions as well, but lastly, all of our SRO positions are adequately budgeted in our budget, and we want to keep trained, qualified, sworn officers in schools. We're just asking for them to work with us a little bit because we can't absorb it like Orange County and City of Orlando, who have multi-billion-dollar budgets. And that's all I had. Thank you.
All right. We'll take a couple minutes if anybody wants to make a comment before we get into our regular meeting.
I do have a comment.
Let's try
I'm sorry.
to keep it down though, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a comment, and maybe it's more of a question too, just to kind of get an understanding of, you mentioned that the Orange County Public Schools were offering for this year's contract $72,000 for our school resource officers. That correct?
Yes, they were offering 70, for the 3-year one,
Just for this year?
$72,000.
What were we asking in return, or the municipalities in return of that, just to kind of counterbalance that, to absorb some of that cost? What was the amount that municipalities were offering as a,
During our initial negotiations, we were asking for $75,000, and at the end of the 3-year, we were wanting to be in the $80,000 range.
so you're saying that this is a difference of maybe for 1 year, $3,000 for this year, and then another maybe couple of $1,000s over
the
3
course
years?
of 3 years.
So I'm just trying to understand this because I'm a little confused here. So we're negotiating with Orange County Public Schools for the safety of our children over a few $1,000s. Okay. I understand now. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I understood it correctly. Okay, all right, that makes sense. But again, worst case, best case scenario, worst case scenario would be, you mentioned guardian care, and I looked that up, and I have done some research on guardian care. That's just a security guard with no formal training. And then there's our school resource officers who are fully trained to protect not only the teachers, but the students as well, anyone that's on campus. Worst case scenario, guardian care, which I don't think that should be, we should even face that. That shouldn't even be a conversation that we should be having. So would that be, if it came down to that, will we as a commission or a city or our staff, will we be recommending to keep our school resource officers versus guardian care?
I would be a strong proponent to advocate for our school resource officers. They're trained, we have the proper tools, the equipment. If something happens, we have our radios, we can call for a response, not call somebody else to call somebody, and we can handle the situation. The educational piece in it alone with the children is also instrumental because some of these SROs teach classes.
Okay. Well, that's all I have. I just wanted to make sure that we kind of galvanize our position when it comes to school safety and that we're going to be there for the long haul. Thank you.
Anybody else? Commissioner?
I think that everyone, we realize the safety of our school teachers, our students is vitally important, especially after we saw what happened this past week. But I think we also need to look at what Mr. Shadrick told us and just keep an eye on what, as we march forward. But I know the safety is paramount. That's, I know, paramount with you also as a police officer. And, but again, I think I would just like to be informed as we move along in the future. But thank you both for your presentation and information, because I think it's very enlightening for folks to know what it costs for us to put an officer on the road from start to finish, and then knowing what OCPS's position is. So I think it's important to us. Thank you.
In the process of looking at the school board, there's other issues that go along with it, I think. One of the things, we've never argued about the safety of our kids, about being there, taking care of them. But one of the things that worries me about the school board is the education part, that they do not build us schools like we need. We have one middle school for the whole city of Ocoee, which is 51,000 people, 50,000 people. We cannot get another middle school out of them where they have the property, so they won't spend the money for that. And I would like the city to put together the amount of money in the last 10 years we have paid for impact fees to the school board, in the millions too, folks, in the millions. And also the taxes that the citizens of this city pay towards this cost of this. So the money they're giving us back is the money that we paid them to start with, and the taxes to help pay for these officers. So the gall that they have to go out and put that out to try to put pressure on all of us from people calling and saying this stuff. So I would ask you, if you get called by citizens, tell the citizens and don't, try to argue, but just tell them the facts of life is, they're the ones sitting down there making all the money and taking the money and then not doing it. They're giving it to one area and everybody here ought to know where it is. It's out off Avalon in that place. That's where the money's going. So it irks me to think of the millions of dollars that we pay them, and we have everybody jammed in up here in this school, and they're fixing to spend, I forget what it is, they're fixing to spend money just to kind of redo it again, and where they can have more room at that school, but we cannot get another middle school. So I wish you to get the amount of money, just in impact fees that we put out and send it to the county. And also our rate of taxes that they put out and pay out for each household that goes towards the school board. And I'd like to go down there with you and the chief and talk to him personally in front of the commission myself. So I think we need to put it out back to the news channel, exactly what's going on here. So that's my comments on it, and I think we need to work on that and come to an answer. These guys are down there and these people doing this, and then they try to throw the hammer to us. I don't like it, and I don't appreciate it. All right, thank you. All right, staff reports, you got any more?
No, sir,
All right.
that was enough for a while.
All right, public comments. I got one here from Josh Given. This is about that issue that's coming back to 17th. You asking about,
7th,
huh?
January 7th.
January 7th.
I'm assuming that's our next meeting.
Yeah.
That's just, you're talking about the development over on White Road and Clark.
Yes.
Yeah, that's coming back on the
Right,
7th.
but I'd like to speak earlier, because I feel like
Well, come on up. Yeah, 3 minutes.
Oh, so you're allowing it? Okay. All right.
Give it
So,
to you. It's already been,
well, before I go, I'll just see if you wanted my short version or this
3
version.
minutes might better be your short version.
This version's just, please God, no. No, no, no. All right. So let me jump into
Well,
it.
let me ask you a question while you're getting ready. Did you come to the, thing
Yes.
last week? Okay, all right, so you should have got all the information there too, so.
Yeah, but it touches different things, and I wanted to add on to it from there.
Okay,
Should we announce, before you speak, I'm sorry, Jack.
Yeah.
That
We
the January 7th is a quasi judicial, so we are not, is there something?
Right, well, members of the commission must remain impartial, and will hear the appeal on January the 7th.
okay.
Does that mean anything to me? I don't know. No?
No, that was directed to the
Okay.
commission.
All right, good evening, council members. I'm Josh Given, local photographer and real estate agent. I'm here to talk about the development on Clark and White Road. I understand it's pretty much a legal matter at this point, due to Ocoee Gateway LLC's appeal to the denial, and they're trying to use the Live Local Act to strong-arm us into allowing them to continue. A side note, I did a little research. Ocoee Gateway LLC is barely over a year old and is addressed to a residential home in Deerfield Beach. That home isn't even titled to the LLC owner, Laura Swanson. Assess that as you will. At last week's presentation on the matter, I was very happy to see that the abundance of legal reasons the proposal can be denied again. I strongly plead that you take some of these options to deny it, the appeal again, and here are my reasons. I'll skip the impact on infrastructure, traffic, drainage, schools. You're going to hear that a million. That's a dead horse that's been beaten for months. So here's my other points that I wanted to bring up. The Live Local Act is a Trojan horse. It's a giant tax break, and it gives bullying powers to wealthy developers under the false guise of affordable housing. By attorney Richard Geller's calculations, which I appreciate that last week, Affordable as defined in the act would constrain rents, including utilities, to $2,571 a month. Right now, the median rent for a two-bedroom apartment in Ocoee is $1,818 a month. Source is Zillow Rentals. So our median rent of a two-bedroom apartment is $753 less than the Live Local Act's affordable limit. Numbers aside, even if the Act's definition of affordable was lower than our median rate, from what I can tell, there's zero accountability to actually lower the rent. Their numbers will be ultra manipulatable and unenforceable. Point number 2, this is more emotional to me as a real estate agent. Homeownership versus apartments is a zero-sum game. You give apartments, that land will never be homes. You give homes, it could be apartments down the line, but it's zero-sum one way. Homeownership has long been a cornerstone of strong communities. When families own their homes, they invest in the neighborhood, not just financially, but emotionally and socially. They have stable payments and security in their future. A mortgage might be higher than rent right now, but in the future, the mortgage payment will be a fraction of the local rents. I'm sure you as longtime homeowners will know that personally. Look, I'm not anti-development. I actually have an elevator pitch for you. An active resident-owned retirement community. Adjacent to said community, strip mall with grocery store, and make the West Oaks Mall golf cart friendly. So the seniors may drive their golf carts over for restaurants, shopping, and activities. This idea puts negligible, if not zero, hindrance on traffic in schools. Additionally, when our seniors downsize, that gives a new home ownership opportunity for a young family to take root in our community. Anyway, I urge the council to consider the alternatives, ones that prioritize homeownership opportunities and/or local needs, and block this greedy developer from jacking up our population density and running back to Deerfield Beach with her hundreds of millions of dollars. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. I don't have you form, Mr.
I can't wait, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Mr. Moyer, I'll let him go over a minute, so I'm gonna.
Oh,
have to
you're
take it
gonna
off- I'm gonna
subtract
take
it
off
from
you.
Set up, that's good? Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Jim Moyer, Arden Park. 2025 offers a very rare opportunity for us to not only celebrate the city's history, but also the Ocoee veterans. Mr. Mayor, you're a soldier. The late Mayor Scott Vandergriff, a sailor. The late Mayor Tom Eisen, a Marine. Future soldiers, future sailors, future Marines can all go to Good Homes Plaza in Ocoee and get recruited right there at the recruiting offices. Next year is the 250th birthday of soldiers, Saturday, June 14th. Sailors, Monday, October 13th, which happens to also be Columbus Day. And Marines, Monday, November 10th, which is always the day before Veterans Day. And Memorial Day next year is May 26th, which is only a couple weeks from the Army 250th birthday. So I'm just here to ask, we know we're going to have a centennial celebration next year. Is it possible to also celebrate the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps 250th birthdays, possibly fundraise for veteran brick projects, which we discussed earlier this year, if you recall, and possibly start the planning, if we choose to do so, for the 250th birthday in the United States of America. Please consider the next opportunity that will come anywhere even close to that won't happen for 50 years. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Mr. Hart?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the short notice. I want to talk to the issue that our city manager brought up that I was not aware of, that I'm quite frankly highly upset about. My mother, Dr. Hydrania Hart, taught at Citrus Elementary. She taught in the Orange County Public School System for 45 years. My wife, Dr. Lorraine Hart, teaches at Ocoee Elementary, and she's been in education for about 10 years, been a nurse for over 20 years. And, you know, we had the tragedy of the shooting in Wisconsin yesterday, and there's one constant in every one of these tragic shootings. First, there's two constants. The worst constant is nobody seems to care anymore, and that's very, very upsetting. We don't get upset, we don't cry, we say, oh, another one, and that's a real problem. And number two, a teacher always gets killed trying to take care of some kids that they love. The only reason my wife teaches is because she loves kids. She made a whole lot more money doing nursing. She can make a whole lot more doing things, but she loves kids. And not only do they teach the kids, they put their lives on the line to take care of what she calls her school babies. That's what she calls them. We got 3 kids, but she's got 40 at school. And now Orange County Public Schools wants to have us negotiate for $3,000 a officer, and talking about getting guardians is not an acceptable answer. Don't even bring that up. I don't want to hear that. Because I don't need somebody to call somebody when the next kid comes down the hall with an AK-47. You've only got seconds to do something. And we need somebody that's trained and qualified to handle the job. So guardians is not an option. I don't want to hear that. Whatever we got to do, we got to do. But I would ask that we would go down, like the mayor said, and every municipality, because this is nothing but a political strong arm, in my opinion. And I'm greatly disappointed in the Orange County Public Schools to put our children's safety at risk for a few dollars. Look, the worst thing I've done in my life is bury my 17-year-old nephew. I had to do his eulogy because he got shot in the head trying to buy some reefer. I don't want to bury any more kids. I don't want to have to eulogize, ask God to give me some words to make sense out of something that makes no sense for $3,000. Seriously. Yeah, I'm upset. I'm going to stay upset because my wife's in that school and I don't want anything to happen to her for $3,000 an officer. Excuse my tone, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. All right. Anybody else before I close the public hearing? Anybody got any comments? All right. Huh?
Mr. Hart's right.
Turn it.
I'm sorry. Mr. Hart's right. But, and it's very frustrating. It's frustrating on our end to have to, and frustrating on your end, but it's frustrating on our end to have to deal with this. Because I say, as we said, safety is paramount.
All right. The consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to, I'm sorry, make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner what's your name?
Wilson.
Wilson. For consent agenda. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by who now?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Oliver. All right. Any more comments? Let's vote.
I think we should just put a list up there.
Motion carries unanimously with Commissioner Kennedy absent. All right, second reading of ordinance, public hearing. Second reading of ordinance for MDTL Enterprise LLC property conservation tract annexation. And our zoning manager, Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, everybody. So the first application is for the MDTL Enterprise LLC. It's for the annexation of a conservation tract from Orange County to the city. The property is just On the east side of Ocoee Popka Road, about 2,300 feet north and 500 feet east of Ocoee Popka Road. Is just under 10 acres in size, is currently conservation on the future land use map. There's no developments planned and is eligible for annexation because of its adjacency to the city's properties. This is an aerial of the property, the surrounding future land use designations, and the surrounding zoning districts. A survey of the property. DRC and PCC both made a recommendation of approval. The PCC did have a condition that the dedication take place at the start of the project, and with that, the staff is seeking an approval by the City Commission to annex the property for purposes of conservation of those wetlands. And a member of the applicant team is here. Thank you. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
All right, now we'll have the, read the,
An ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the City of Ocoee, Florida, certain real property containing approximately 9.9 acres located on the east side of Ocoee Popka Road, beginning approximately 2,300 feet north of the intersection of Ocoee Popka Road at Palm Drive, then approximately 508 feet east of Ocoee Popka Road, and assigned parcel ID numbers 07-22-28-0000-00-087 pursuant to the application submitted by the applicant, finding said annexation to be consistent with the Florida statutes, the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, the Ocoee City Code, and the Joint Planning Area Agreement, providing for and authorizing the update of the official city maps, providing direction to the city clerk, providing for severability, prevailing in the event of any inconsistency, and providing for an effective date.
all right. I'm gonna open the public hearing. Anybody in the public have any comments pertaining to this item? All right, no comments. I'll close it, come back to the commission. Any comments? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the annexation for the purpose of protection and preservation of conservation wetlands.
Motion made by Commissioner Forstner. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Any more comments? No more comments? Let's vote. Motion carries with Commissioner Kennedy absent. All right, number 7, second reading of ordinance for the annual comprehensive plan text amendment to adopt 5-year schedule of capital improvements and update the capital improvement element project. Zoning Manager Whitfield.
Thank you. So the issue is the amendment to the capital improvements element and an update of our 5-year CIP, consistent with the requirements of Florida statutes and our comprehensive plan policy. Just as a very quick summary of the background, each local government in the state of Florida has to have a comprehensive plan, and in that is the capital improvements element, which sets the framework for ensuring how the city's adopted level service standards for all of our facilities are going to meet adopted standards. It would not be classified as an amendment to the comp plan. It can just be done by ordinance, no state agency reviews. We would just send it to the state as a courtesy. The proposed 5-year schedule in this ordinance is strictly just those capital capacity projects from the city's adopted budget for this coming fiscal season. And the new Table 6 is a list of the projects that's going into the CIE. And it includes projects for roads, for utilities, stormwater, and public parks and recreation facilities. PCC heard this item on November 12th and made a recommendation of approval, and staff is also seeking an approval. Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan as adopted in 1991, as amended, in order to comply with Section 163.3177, subparagraph 3, Florida statutes, amending the capital improvements element of the comprehensive plan, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
All right, open the public hearing. Anybody in the public have any comments on item 7? No comments. Close the public hearing, bring it back up to the dais. Anybody have any comments? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make that motion that we approve the ordinance for the annual comprehensive plan text amendment to adopt a 5-year schedule for capital improvement and update of capital improvement element.
Motion been made by Commissioner Oliver. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Fershman. No more comments, let's vote. Motion carries with Commissioner Kennedy absent. All right, no more, we got the regular agenda here. Item is a acceptance of rehab and emergency shelter transport bus from Central Florida Disaster Medical Coalition. I got a couple of questions I want to ask about that. Yeah, another.
I know.
Y'all bring the whole fire department?
Just getting closer.
All right. We just need a short version of it too.
I will talk quickly, sir. So good evening, Mayor, City Council members, City Manager, and members of the public. My name is CJ Van Camp. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief. With me is EMS Captain John Ward. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak tonight. So we'd like to present to you a proposal to accept a mass casualty bus, which would be donated to us through the Central Florida Disaster Medical Coalition. So tonight, I'll walk you through the details of the initiative, its benefits to our city, and the steps needed to finalize this program. So this proposal is an exciting opportunity for the city of Ocoee. Through the Central Florida Disaster Management Coalition, we've been offered a mass casualty bus. So the bus will be donated by Lynx, and it will be converted to hold and treat multiple patients. So the conversion to turn it into a mass casualty bus is completely funded by the coalition through grants that they've received. So our request is to approve the acceptance of this bus, along with paying associated fees such as title, transfer, registration, and licensing fees. So once in our possession, we'll integrate the bus into our operations, expanding our capabilities for emergency preparedness, firefighter support, and community events. So it's important to note that we'll have full discretion on how to use this vehicle as we see fit in our community's needs. So our plan is to use the bus in multiple ways, which I'll elaborate on in a minute. So first, let me take a moment to explain the role of Central Florida Disaster Medical Coalition. So the coalition is a regional healthcare organization that focuses on disaster preparedness and medical response. They work with healthcare providers, emergency services, and other partners to coordinate resources and training. And they also coordinate EMS support for large-scale incidents, such as the Champlain disaster or the Electric Daisy Carnival. Basically, they can set up an emergency room fully outfitted with all the equipment, staffed with nurses, doctors, EMTs, and things like that. And they do this to offset or to negate some of the impacts that a large-scale event could have on both the EMS system as well as local hospitals. So in this project, the coalition facilitated the donation of a Lynx bus, and they secured the funding for its conversion, which is going to cost approximately $90,000, and they got this money through grant funding. So they've been involved in similar projects such as providing medical equipment and organizing disaster drills. So we feel that this partnership will allow us to strengthen our resources without burdening our budget. So just to talk about the bus. So to give you some context, we feel that the bus can be a highly versatile vehicle that can serve multiple functions. So first, this bus will be equipped for mass casualty transportation, which would allow us to respond effectively to large-scale incidents. Second, it could provide air-conditioned shelter during outdoor events for the public, such as festivals and other non-emergency gatherings, where cooling and medical support may be needed. Because please remember, we can use this bus however we see fit. Finally, the bus will serve as a rehabilitation unit during large incidents such as fires, and also during training events. And it will offer a safe and comfortable space for our firefighters to recover and rehydrate during prolonged operations. So we're tentatively calling this a REST bus, and that stands for Rehab and Emergency Shelter Transport. So with its ability to provide emergency response and community support, this bus will be a vital resource for our city, enhancing both our preparedness and our ability to serve our residents during various situations. So let's just talk about what our vision is for the operation of the bus. So initially, the bus will be housed at Station 38 while we complete construction of the tentative fire training facility. Once the training facility is finished, the bus will be permanently housed there. And we feel that this is a central location, is centrally positioned and easily accessible. So it's important to note that this bus will not be a staffed unit. Similar to the brush truck and the marine rescue boat that we have, authorized personnel will be assigned to operate them when needed. So if there's a mass casualty event and this bus is requested, that request will come through fire administration and we'll make arrangements to have the bus taken out to that incident. We'll utilize our captains or other administrative staff to take it there. If it's a non-emergency event, such as a special event or a training exercise, our on-duty crew members who have been properly trained and tested on the bus's operations will be tasked with deploying it and operating it. So we feel that this approach allows flexibility, operational readiness, and efficient use of our resources without adding to additional staff burdens. So the fiscal impact. So the good news is that there is no required cost to the city for us to accept this bus. Its conversion or the installation of necessary equipment. The only immediate expenses involve administrative tasks like transferring the title, registering the bus, and obtaining license plates, which we feel is a minimal cost compared to its benefits. However, to ensure the bus is safe, reliable, and ready for use, we propose performing preventative maintenance. This includes replacing the tires. So this maintenance is estimated by the fleet supervisor to cost around $6,000, and the majority of that cost is going to replace the tires. It's about $4,000 for new tires for a Lynx bus. So considering the value of this vehicle and its potential to serve its critical role in the city, we feel it's a small investment that will ensure its long-term operational success. So the fleet supervisor has looked over the bus. The engine that's on a Lynx bus is the same engine that we use on our fire engines, so they are familiar with how to repair an engine if something goes amiss, and they are comfortable with performing the preventative maintenance. So for future costs, it's estimated that it would cost about approximately $1,200 for preventative maintenance. So now we do want to expand on the bus a little bit, but we want to keep it fiscally neutral. So we want to wrap the bus, and I'll show you a picture of the bus in a minute, and we would like to put emergency lights on. But to do that, we're going to seek for community partners that would be willing to help sponsor that. We are going to stock it initially with spare EMS equipment, and if we feel we need more equipment, we'll reach out, we will seek grants and alternative funding. Specifically, the Department of Health has EMS grants, the Orange County Medical Directors has EMS grants, and since this is a regional resource, we feel we would have a good opportunity to get those grants funded. So the required commitment. So operationally, our commitment is straightforward. So the Ocoee Fire Department will respond with one staff member if the bus is requested during an incident with Orange County. So it won't leave the county. The individuals from the coalition basically said they wanted to make this as least operationally impactful as possible. So it'll only be used through Orange County. If a neighboring fire department needs the bus, they would request it through our dispatch. Our dispatch would contact us and we would make arrangements to have it respond. So if the bus is out of service for PM or any other issues, there are no penalties or problems. Additionally, we'd be required to maintain the bus in operational condition for a year. If after a year we decide that it's not a good fit for us, we can surplus the bus as we see fit. So it's only a one-year commitment. There are no formal contracts with the coalition either. So we feel additional benefits that this bus is a versatile and valuable resource for our city. First, it enhances our emergency response capabilities. In the event of a mass casualty incident, it can serve as a mobile medical unit, providing immediate on-care site. Second, it supports our firefighters and health and safety. During prolonged incidents, the bus will act as a rehab unit where they can rest and recover. It's also a great resource for training exercises, offering shelter in challenging environments. And lastly, it benefits the broader community. The bus can be used as a cooling or medical station during local events like 5K runs and festivals. And by participating in this initiative, we gain a multi-use vehicle that addresses both emergency and everyday needs. So this is the bus that has been donated. It's a 2009, approximately 750,000 miles. I have been told by a Lynx representative that the mileage is still good for this bus, and that these buses are still purchased after their life with Lynx, and they have a long life in the private sector. So like I said, some of the future modifications that we would like to do is to wrap it, because obviously we would like the Ocoee Fire Department on it. We would like emergency lighting, but both of which we won't do unless it's fiscally neutral. So Seminole County also is a participant in this program. They've received the bus, so this is their bus. This is how they've wrapped it. They utilize it in community events. They also utilize it for recruiting as well. So this is the interior of how they have their bus set up. Our bus would be set up very similar. Right now, the stretchers, you have 2 rows of stretchers, so it's set up as a mass casualty. However, if we wanted to use it for a community event, we would take out the second row and you would have bench seating for participants to sit on it. So timeline. So our timeline is simple, but it requires actions. First, we'll have to complete the title transfer, the registration, and the licensing. Once that's done, the bus would be delivered, and a company called First Line would complete the conversion in 1 or 2 days. The only catch is this work has to be completed before December 31st as part of the grant deadlines. So in conclusion, we feel that this bus is a cost-effective and versatile addition to our resources. It enhances our emergency response capabilities, it supports our firefighters, and it benefits our community in multiple ways. So again, if after 1 year we determine that the bus is not efficient for the department or the city, we can discontinue using it and surplus it as we see fit. So tonight I'm asking for your approval to accept this donation, authorize the necessary action to bring the bus into service, and empower the Ocoee Fire Department to use this resource to serve our city effectively. So thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, commissioners. I got some, but I'll wait. Who wants to go?
Is there any other city or agency that is a recipient?
Yes, sir.
Of the
Seminole
bus?
County Fire Department, which is the bus I showed earlier, they also received the bus through the coalition.
No other cities? How did we get so lucky?
So we were attending a medical director meeting, and this coalition was asking the group, almost pleading the group, that they needed a community partner to take this asset. Otherwise, they were going to lose the funding and the bus. So that's when we started the conversation.
Very good.
I have some questions. 753,000 miles. I don't think I've ever seen a vehicle that high.
I agree.
They changed the oil.
I agree with your concern. However, like I said, talking to the representative from the coalition, they said that that is average miles and that these buses do have a long lifespan after they're retired out from Lynx.
Okay. I think you mentioned $4,000 for tires, and I know on our paperwork it said 6,000.
So 6,000 is the total cost for PM. So that includes 4,000 for the tires and then replacing the belts and whatnot.
Okay. Let's see, as a person that's always had old cars, and when all of a sudden maintenance becomes higher than the value of the item, that's a concern to me. I mean, safety, as we just talked about, is paramount. And it sounds like it's a great option to have available to us and available to other cities that are in our vicinity. But we also, in our position, we have to look at funds. That's part of our job. And the concern I have is when it gets to be a point when the maintenance is higher than what you've anticipated, what's going to happen? We've got it for a year, but, all of a sudden the transmission goes, and that's probably, on a vehicle that size, is probably not something you get done down at the corner store.
So I think that's a cost versus benefit analysis that we'll continue to do. And if we reach the point where we're putting more money into it, working with or coordinating with the fleet supervisor, we can surplus it and discontinue the program.
Well, within the year, I'd like to see you come back to us if that's an issue.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's a concern I have. I don't want to be kept in the dark and find out that we've been putting money into something that is basically not cost effective. So I would like to see, if we vote on it, I would like to see that we also have that in there, that if, when the maintenance gets to a certain level, that's.
Absolutely, and we can
We
even-
need to be aware.
We can notify the council of any significant mechanical repairs as well.
Thank you.
All right.
What's the average lifespan of one of our fire engines with that same engine?
So
As far as mileage is concerned.
NFPA recommends 10 years frontline with additional 5 years in reserve status for engines.
How many miles on average would you, when you look at one of those vehicles before you decide to surplus it?
So we don't necessarily go by mileage, we go by how difficult, or at what point, again, the cost benefit investment that we're doing, how often are we repairing it, the type of repairs that we're doing it. Theoretically, you could drive a fire engine until it dies. The mileage isn't really the biggest factor. It's again, the cost that you're investing into it, as well as, the increases or the advances in technology that are occurring.
What is the cost of insurance to insure a vehicle like that?
I do
'Cause
not have that.
I didn't see that on your presentation.
I do not know that, and I apologize.
That's gonna be
Compared to
a
cars, it
concern.
must be,
Gotta be pretty big.
must be high.
So, yeah, I would like to know that number, as well, if we can get that information.
I would assume it would be
Because, I mean,
comparable to what we're paying for our fire engines,
All right.
but I don't know that answer. I apologize.
Okay, not a problem. And also, like Commissioner Wilson, I would like to see a cost analysis, a cost-benefit analysis, on this at the end of 1 year. If we decide to go this route, what would it, what's the maintenance versus the benefit of actually having this type of vehicle?
Yes, sir.
That's all I got.
I'm gonna be probably the bad key here. I'll tell you about transport bus for disaster. What kind of disasters are you talking about?
Mass casualty incidents.
Well, who's driving it?
So
that's-
our staff.
How
would
many
drive.
employees you gonna have for this bus? Now,
So
don't say none, cause somebody's gonna be driving it.
we're not gonna add any personnel to it. If it's needed, our command staff will,
Well, they're taking their stuff away from the other thing.
Our commands-
staff's gonna be
well-
driving.
our captains, myself, the deputy chiefs, or those would be the primary drivers.
I got a couple points. I'm gonna go ahead and make one of them, because I don't particularly like this. I've still got memories when we talked about putting the ambulances in, but it was gonna be for the asset of the citizens of the city. It's not, because it's $800. If they go from your firehouse to that house and back to the hospital, it's $800 for our citizens who's paying for the truck, for the ambulance, and for the people in it. So we're still charging them $800 more dollars. So I do have a problem with that, because this is gonna be the same thing. This is gonna turn in, and I'm just, like I said, I don't wanna make it look bad. Somebody's gonna get hired for this, I can guarantee you. The insurance ain't gonna be cheap. And, who pays for the fixtures is gonna go all inside that?
So that's part of the grant. That's the $90,000 that the coalition received.
Like I said, I'm not happy about what we did with the ambulances, and we put, if I'm not mistaken, they're what do you call it, the engineer, not the engineer, but the medic on it. Paramedic. We put a paramedic on them and a driver, which cost us how much? And then and like I said, they're not on the fire truck, which went there anyway, and then the ambulance from the hospital, which I went the other day, and somebody said we didn't have them, but we do, because the hospital out here has ambulances. So,
Mayor,
listen, I'm not telling them they're gonna vote what they want, I'm just telling you, I'm not.
yes, sir.
And I'm not against the fire department, I've always voted for everything, even though sometimes they don't vote for me, but that's quite all right. But I'm not for it. I just think it's one more thing we're adding to the group. We need to be looking at what it is for fire trucks to make sure they're up to grade and doing what they're supposed to do and getting a firehouse built. So that's my opinion. And like I said, I'm still not happy about what we did at the ambulances, because we took it away from where the add to our cost for citizens, which we were getting that with the ambulances from the hospital to start with, So now what we did, we took that out and brought the ambulances here. We're paying out for all those workers, and I don't know how many it totals up to be on them ambulances, and charging people $800 to go a mile and a half or 2 miles. So when we set it for citizens to be helped, and we didn't do that. They were still gonna have an ambulance, and they're still paying $800. So this I think is just something extra to have around. My own personal opinion, so that's my opinion, so, I'm not voting for that. So, all right, y'all can get a motion to do it, or do you want it to go back and get that information before they vote on it?
Well, I know you guys are on a time limit, so our next meeting we'll have surpassed your time limit of December 31st, so it sounds like something that we have to vote on tonight. Yes, you too.
I'll make a motion considering the short deadline that they are facing, December 31st. This has got to be all wrapped up and completed by then. The initial outlay of the city's cost is not significant at all, and seeing that we have 1 year to hold on to this, and if it doesn't work out, we can turn around and surplus it and get some of the money back at least. So I'll make a motion to approve the emergency bus.
Motion made by Commissioner Firstner. Second, please. Second.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Oliver. Any more comments?
Can I ask the chief?
Sure, yep,
Since you're sitting there quiet,
yep, yep.
can I get your,
Absolutely.
Can I get your opinion?
What do you think?
To be,
I don't know, I'd just like to know what.
to be honest with you, when they first brought it to me, I wasn't sold on it. What sells me the most on it now is the safety feature of being able to rehab for our crews. As you know, in Florida here, it's 90, 100 degrees heat index in the summer. To be able to have a resource like that we might have the opportunity. We might not be able to bring it out to every opportunity, but during the daytime hours when we have our command staff available, myself, Chief Van Camp, or any of our captains can drive that unit out. And now I've got a mobile unit that I have right on scene. I've been one that's been overcome by heat at fire scenes, and to be able to go into a unit that's air conditioned and take a few minutes to breathe and get a little water and re-energize and go back out on and get to work would have been very beneficial to me. So they sold it on me with that, and I think it would be a great community asset. Should we be able to get it wrapped and have it looking nice? We've talked to Ms. Corliss a little bit about some of the outreaches that we could use in the community. So I think it's the value on it is very well. I guarantee you I'm not putting any personnel off of my active roster to man it, to go out to Orange County and be a transport unit for them. We would, if we had a mass casualty in Orange County, and should it be recommended that we bring it out, one of us in the office would run that bus out there. Then it would be up to their command staff that's on scene there to put the patients and the medics that are on scene on board, and we're simply going to be driving to the hospital, dropping, going back to the scene, and repeating that as many times as we need. But it won't be our line personnel that's going to do that.
Mayor, I just want to add something to that motion, if you don't mind, that, again, what I mentioned about
Do an amendment.
the expenses. I'd like to be kept, I think we should be kept abreast of the expenses.
Absolutely.
That occur during this period of time. I'm sorry, forgot my microphone's on. I want to be, again, make an amendment that we were addition, however we want, that, how do we do that?
Well, you'll,
Just, again, I want to be
It's an
kept abreast of
amended
any
motion.
expenses that
I
are
gotta have
above the ordinary.
She's making an amendment to the main motion, so we need a second for the motion.
What is your amendment?
My amendment is that we be kept abreast of any expenses for us to make a decision about any extraordinary expenses. You know, we're dealing with a bus that's 753,000 miles, and,
Could we just put that in?
Mayor,
if they agree,
Could we just put that in?
if they agree.
If you agree, can
Yeah,
you just add that?
I agree with
Without doing an amendment.
Okay.
Sir, can I ask for a clarification on that, what that means? If we approve accepting this bus, then, you know, what does that mean, be abreast of the expenses? You know, we have the annual PM, but I think what the commissioner might be saying is, well, what if the transmission goes out? You know, we haven't budgeted the capital expenditures to fix a rest bus.
Sure.
As nice of an item as it might be to have. And so then what? Okay, the motor blows, okay? Knowing the capital backup on fire engines that we've workshopped with our commission during budget, I'm not gonna be advocating for dropping a new motor in a
No,
old Lynx
absolutely. I
bus.
wouldn't ask for
So,
that either.
is there anything with this agreement taking that on? So if we take this on, if the motor blows, do we have to drop, are we obligated to drop a new motor in it?
Absolutely
Because-
not. No,
Okay.
we're free and clear. We can surplus it and wash our hands of it if, the
that's-
expenses were
Does
too
that
much.
take care of your
That's a-
question?
Yeah, that is, because that's a concern to me, because
Yeah,
we,
absolutely.
at that point, we don't need a tow truck towing it to Orange County.
No, no.
So you could amend your motion saying that should the expenditures associated with this unit exceed what's been forecast and presented, then you could tell us to surplus it.
What about the air conditioner goes out? That's what they want to
Right.
use it for.
Well, that would be an expensive endeavor too.
Mm-hmm.
So those are all good points. And just to clarify to the commission, this is something that we can live without, certainly.
Right.
I felt obligated to bring it before you so that you could make the discussion.
So
right,
Before
make a
we amend the motion, I do want to say one thing.
We're not
before-
gonna amend it, he's approved to
Before
add
we
it.
approve it or do anything, I would like to say this. Sometimes it's better to have it and not use it than to not have it and need
Absolutely.
it.
I'm hoping we'd never have to take it anywhere.
Yeah.
I'd rather use it just for
'Cause
rehab.
we do live in Florida, and I've seen 3 hurricanes come back to back to back.
It
Living
adds
here,
to
so
our
just-
resources.
You just don't know. You
Yes.
don't know what you need until you actually need it.
Yes, sir.
All right, motion, Ben, you've added
Yeah,
that?
I agree with that for the
Okay,
motion.
so he's added that. Do you need to read?
Well, let's say, should expenditures exceed what is forecasted, the fire department will report such expenditures to the commission. Does that sound appropriate?
Yeah. So we got a second, and we have a motion. Any more comments? No more comments, let's vote. Motion carries with 3-1. The mayor voted no, and also with Scott Kennedy absent. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Commissioner Wilson.
Yes, I have an item I want to bring before the commission. Maybe some of you have read this, that there is a HR 8753 that's on the, it was passed by the House of Representatives regarding our zip code issue. There's 51 cities that are listed on that bill, and Ocoee is one of them. I don't know if a lot of folks, I'll just kind of give a brief synopsis here. When Rose Hill was annexed into the city of Ocoee, we found out the post office would not change the zip code of Rose Hill. And a lot of the residents reported that they have had higher insurance bills because of the zip code 32818. And we were not aware of that would happen. We spent a lot of time and funds trying to get that changed without success. So now, we're in a position where we could, should I say, reach out to our legislative delegation and ask them to support this bill. And I was wondering, Commission, we've already sent letters a few months ago, but again, I'd like to do this again, to ask our staff to send letters to our legislative delegation to be supportive of HR 8753, to be one of, again, it's one of 51 cities that they're trying to designate the zip codes for the city. Ocoee has, if I'm correct, 5 zip codes. We have Winter Garden, Windermere, Gotha, Apopka, Orlando, I'm sorry, and then 6 would be us. Did I miss anyone?
No.
No, okay. And it would designate where it would be, Ocoee would get their own zip code. And again, the ones that seem to be in the position that's financially difficult for them as Rose Hill. So I'm asking that. I'm also asking if we could send a letter to the residents in Rose Hill regarding this, asking them to reach out to the legislative delegation to support this bill. They may not be aware of it, and I'll be happy with a letter that would go out, that it could come out of my discretionary fund for the postage, the cost to send this letter, but I think it's very important. We can let our other residents know. I don't know, I don't hear too much from the Apopka and the Windermere and the Winter Garden folks that they're concerned about this as much as Rose Hill is. So I would like to ask the commission's approval on that, to do both of those items.
That's the same bill that's been there. They just
Well,
bringing it back.
It passed the House of Representatives, which again, I'm taking
that
everything as a
before, too.
positive. Well, I'm looking at everything as a positive. You know, we've been down this road before, but I think we need to continue on this road. And again, those folks seem to be, I'll just be frank, I talked to someone who, my insurance on my house is about $4,000. On their house, which is a comparable house, is close to $7,000.
Any
And
comments?
so, just looking at that alone, they're saying their car insurance is higher because of the zip code. And we've heard it from the post office. They all said that zip code were never meant for that. Well, how many years have we had zip codes, and life has changed? So I'm asking the commission for their approval for that, Craig, to designate a letter, and then a letter that we can send out to the residents in Rose Hill. We can take that and distribute it ourselves once we get the letter, but I think this is very important.
Yeah, we can just, I think we can all get an opinion, or just say we approve to do it without having to vote.
Okay,
Is that
All right.
all right?
Yeah, that's all
All
right.
right.
okay.
That's-
We'll get that out this
Greg.
week.
Yes, please, thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't think I have anything else. Happy holidays. We will not meet again till January 7th. And please be safe out there. I'm sorry, in holidays, people's driving gets, for the lack of a better word, crazy. Slow down. And please, on Orlando Avenue, White Road, please abide by the four-way stop. They're doing good. I haven't had any complaints lately, but it seems like people are doing good. So thank you, and happy holidays, happy new year. We'll see you next year.
All right, Commissioner Oliver.
Just a couple things. I was riding on Clark Road last night. It was about midnight. I had to pick my granddaughter up from the airport, and they were actually working on Clark Road at midnight. So I was happy. I put a big smile on my face. I was really happy to see that. So they're moving right along, and it looks like it's going to be just beautiful when they finish with it, with the retention walls and everything that they're doing on Clark Road. I also found out today there's some additional construction going on McCormick Road. On the north side of McCormick Road, there is, we also have the hurricane debris station, but in addition to that, there's an expansion of the West Orange Trail going from Apopka Vineland, Apopka Vineland Road, heading east all the way over to Lake Apopka. So they're expanding the West Orange Trail, was heading west, But it's actually going to be a great project. So anyone that lives on the north side of town between District 1 and District 4, you see that construction going on, they're actually expanding the West Orange Trail. I have had some conversation with the county staff regarding the three-way light at Apopka Vineland and McCormick Road, which I have not made any progress yet, but I'm still working on it. So after the beginning of the year, I'll be working on that. Staff, whoever will help with this, but we will definitely need a traffic light to be placed on the corner of McCormick and Apopka Vineland Road, because again, the traffic has really started to increase there quite a bit, and the accidents are really starting to pile up. So I'll be working on that, and hopefully we'll all get on board with that and get that and make that happen. So finally, in this season of love, peace, hope, joy, and happiness, and being with our families, I want to leave you with this: with love being the greatest of them all, I want to leave you with a love in action. And it states, love must be sincere, hate what is evil, cling to what is good, be devoted to one another in love, honor one another above yourselves, never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord, Be hopeful in hope, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer, share with the Lord's people who are in need, and patience in participate in hospitality. That actually came from Romans chapter 12, verses 9 through 13. So again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone, and thank you. We'll see you back next year.
Commissioner Ferguson.
I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Thank you all for coming out and being interested in your city and supporting us. We really do appreciate it. It's not the hardest job in the world, but it isn't the easiest either. We have to make some tough decisions every once in a while. But we appreciate all of your support and hope to see you all next year. Be safe if you're traveling this year. Be aware of your surroundings and come back and see us next year.
Okay, December 2024, this is what's going on. In the observance of the Christmas holiday, City Hall and all city administrative offices will be closed on Wednesday, December the 25th, and Thursday, December the 26th. There will be no sanitation services on Christmas Day. Qualifying ended at noon on December the 13th, and pursuant to Florida election laws, Chapter 100, Section 100-021, and Ocoee Code of Ordinances, Section 5-13, notice is hereby given by the City of Ocoee, Florida, that an election will be held Tuesday, March the 11th, 2025, in the City of Ocoee for the purpose of voting on referendum ballot questions regarding changes to the city charter. In electing one commissioner from District 4, if necessary, a runoff election will be conducted on April the 8th, 2025. District 2 Commissioner Rosemary Wilson was unopposed. Let's see, so an election is not needed for that district. All right, so let's see here. Next Ocoee Community Market will be held on Thursday, January the 2nd, 5 p.m. through 9 p.m. at the Ocoee Lakeshore Center. Girls and boys youth volleyball. Spring season restoration begins January the 6th, 2025 through February 14th, 2025 for ages 8 through 16. Information and the link to register is located on the city's website. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Unity Parade will be held on Monday, January the 20th, 2025 from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. A post-parade celebration and keynote speaker will follow at the West Oaks Mall Food Court. Parade registration is now open, and the link to register is also located on the city's website. I don't know if anybody in here went to anybody in here go to Jolly Jamboree Saturday night with the city? I think it was a great function. Everybody seemed to have a great time. It's fun to see the young children be able to go ride the rides without having to pay an enormous fee. It was free. The city does it free for the kids, and that's a great thing to do. And the citizens loved it because we did spread it out and put it all the way around. So had a little trouble with the microphone. I think somebody did that on purpose. But.
Yeah, I think it was fun. You were loud enough.
And don't worry, if I'm not against the fire department. Don't get me wrong. So in case you see flames going up, bring your hoses. No, sometimes I think I have to say certain things and I did it, but I tell you, Saturday all day long was functions. In the morning, Commissioner Wilson and I were there at the Santa Claus breakfast for the kids, and it was and Melanie served on the food at her youth council, which was great. We had 172 kids, I think it was, there for breakfast, and I mean they had a plate full. So and then they got to decorate cookies and then get pictures with Santa Claus. So that was excellent. Our recreation department does a super job. They are always on top of everything, and I want us to tell to us that what a great job they did, and I hope the citizens enjoyed it. So I hope everybody has a good holiday, a good Christmas, Merry Christmas, and be safe. See you January.
We had fun.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
You didn't